The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. As Jesus continued on his journey to Jerusalem, he traveled through Samaria and Galilee. They stood at a distance from him and raised their voices, saying, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." And when he saw them, he said, "Go show yourselves to the priests." And as they were going, they were cleansed. One of them, realizing that he had been healed, returned, glorifying God in a loud voice. And as he fell at the feet of Jesus and thanked him, he was a Samaritan. Jesus said in reply, 10 were cleansed, were they not? Where are the other 9? Has none but this foreigner returned to give thanks to God? Then he said to him, "Stand up and go. Your faith has saved you." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Let me start with a story of a man. Let's say his name was Stephen. He was sitting at a table in a very crowded restaurant, and this stranger, let's say his name is Donald, came up and asked Stephen, "Do you mind if I share your table?" Stephen invited him to have a seat. So Donald sat down, and while they were having some small talk, Stephen's meal arrived. Stephen stopped, he bowed his head, and he prayed before his meal. Donald looked at him and said, "Is there something wrong with your food?" Stephen said, "No." He says, "Every time before I eat, I stop and I give thanks to God." Donald replied to Stephen and says, "Oh, you're one of those kinds." So, "Well, let me tell you about myself." He says, "Me, I work for everything that I have. It's the sweat of my brow that I earn my meals. So when I sit down, I don't need to thank anyone. I sit down, and when my food arrives, I just start right in." Stephen responded, "I had a dog like that once. He did the same thing." We might laugh a bit and see the humor here, but there's also, I think, a message, a bit of truth that we need to look at for ourselves. And that's, what is our attitude towards our gifts in our lives? Do we see the things that we have in our lives as gift? Do we recognize them as gifts from God? And therefore, do we thank God for the things that we enjoy? Whether we have a little or whether we have a lot, do we offer thanks to God? I remember a story shared by one of our youth here at St. Francis that went on a mission trip to Mexico. And while in Mexico on a mission project, a building project, they noticed some of the local children, a local boy in particular, was just a happy young man. And they were surprised, or the youth was surprised at how happy this individual was in the midst of having so little, of not having a lot. But this little boy was happy and was a great example of one that can enjoy life and live life and be happy with not having a lot of things. So our ability to be thankful for what we have is not based upon what we have, it's based upon our attitude or our disposition. And so, do we give thanks to God for all of the blessings that we enjoy in our lives? Now, the blessings and the gifts that we have, just to try to name a few, we might look at health as a gift that God gives to us, our families, our pets. How about our work that allows us to provide for families? Our talents that we enjoy, maybe hobbies and passions, our skills, maybe our spouses or our parents, our guardians, the relationships that God has blessed us with. There are many, many other things that you could probably identify that are gifts in your life. And maybe there's many things yet that you can identify as gifts in your life that you have not yet identified as a gift. The Samaritan came back and gave thanks. The other 9 did not return. Let's speculate why those 9 did not return. Maybe one of the 9, as they were walking along, said, "I think that we need to wait and see if this cure is permanent." Or maybe one said, "Oh, there's plenty of time to go back and see Jesus later." Or maybe another said, "You know, maybe we didn't have leprosy in the first place." There's a bunch of different other ideas that also we can speculate that they shared. And maybe one was, there was no doubt in my mind that one day we would get better. Or, Jesus really didn't do anything special. Any one of the rabbis could have done the same. You see, I think we can identify with some of these reasons for not going back and taking that extra effort to give thanks, to recognize what we have as gift. There may be many reasons that we can come up with which prevent us. It might be our position in life. It might be the loss of a loved one that challenges us to continue to be people of gratitude and to look at things in our lives as gift. The church, on its part, also encourages this attitude of happiness, this attitude of thanksgiving, in some of the terms that we use in describing Mass. We say that we celebrate Mass, and the priest is our main celebrant, because it's at Mass that we get to celebrate and give thanks to God for Jesus and the sacrifice that he made for us. Also, the word gospel is, the meaning of the word gospel means what? Good news. Once again, it's Jesus' news, Jesus' information for us on how we can conduct our lives such that we too can share this good news, this disposition of happiness, this disposition of recognizing God as gift in our life. And so it is in Scripture today we receive this instruction that talks about how through this gospel that we can live this life of thanks, and that God is looking for us to recognize him in our lives as well. This call to give thanks to God is not a magical cure to make the stresses and the struggles and the hardships of life go away. For we will still be enduring many aspects of life, both the ups and the downs. They will still come our way. They will not be the magic pill to make them go away. But it's our disposition on how we accept these roller coaster elements that are part of our lives. Imagine the life of the Samaritan after he was cured. He's still a Samaritan, looked down upon by the real Jews. He was from the Samaritan community, which was, if you will, a half-breed, a Jewish line that had been tarnished or diminished over the years. So he was still an excluded member, if you will, of the community. He probably didn't have a job. See, he had been outcast for how many years? And he probably didn't have skills to get a job to be able to provide for himself. And also, he had suffered many years of leprosy. Not a life that we would like to lead, but his many years of leprosy and of difficulty did not change his attitude of thanks towards God for what the future held. So as we look at our lives, we too can see times where maybe we have not been thankful for God in our lives. The beauty of this, though, the good news I have today is It's possible to change today. It's possible for us to come back and be thankful. We can begin today, both you and I, having this change of heart, having this change of attitude, where what we enjoy in this life and who we enjoy in this life is gifts from God. We can be like the Samaritan. We can stop, turn around, return, return to God with that renewed spirit, with that changed attitude, where we recognize God as gift and that our lives are a gift from God.